you. Black Country Extra.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous Hour. My name's Dave, forever an alcoholic. Can we start, Billy, by just saying a big thanks to everybody, to yourself and everybody at the radio, just again for giving us that opportunity to come along and help to raise awareness of AA. We're shortly going to be introducing one of our members who are going to share their story with us. But before we do that, I'd like to ask Dec to read the preamble, which is something that we use at the start of every meeting. And this tells you very simply what AA is, what it does, and I guess what it doesn't do. Dec, over to you.
Thanks, Dave. My name is Dec and I'm an alcoholic. This is the AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve the common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety.
Thanks, Dec. That's great. And could we now get our guests today to introduce themselves, please?
Hi, my name's Dave and I'm an alcoholic.
Hello, Dave.
Welcome, Dave. All the Daves.
Welcome, Dave, and thanks for taking the time to come across today and share your experience, strength and hope with us. Could you start us off by giving us some idea about your background, where you're from, your childhood, etc.?
Yeah, obviously my name's Dave. I grew up in Northfield in Birmingham. I grew up in a 3-bedroom council house with 5 of us living in the house. 6 of us living in the house. Growing up, what I can remember from being a young child was I've got a twin brother and 2 older brothers. So we had to share bedrooms in this council house because it was only 3 bedrooms and we didn't have much room in the house, and 3 of us slept in one room. One of us, my older brother, slept in the small room, and I think that back in the day, life was hard, for money and stuff like that. But both parents went out and worked. My dad worked at Davenport's. My mum went out and worked as a welder and a cleaner.
As a welder?
As a welder, yeah.
A welder?
Yeah.
Wow.
What's the matter with that, Dave?
No, it's not normally a woman thing. There's not that being...
Hang on a minute, all the wenches in the Black Country were all factory workers. That's a bit snobbish,
Okay.
My mum was a turner and driller and capstan operator, so...
Yeah, so she went out welding overnight in the factory.
I'm with you, Dave.
Yeah.
Forget about him over there.
So life was, it was okay growing up. I didn't notice much alcohol being drank as a child. I smelt alcohol, but I didn't actually see any of it. The one morning, though, I woke up and tried to wake my brother up, my oldest brother, up in bed, and sadly he died in bed. And that had broke the family, I remember Mum asking me to go and wake Anthony up, who was my oldest brother, in bed, and I went in and he wouldn't wake up, and I went back into my mum and says that Anthony's not waking up, and I still have very vague memories of that, and I can see it now as I talk about it. I can see his face in the bed, and that's something that I've always grown up with. Because back in that day, back in them days, we weren't allowed to grieve, and it was hard for the family, and it was hard for Mum especially. On that morning we were just, sent round to her neighbours and sent off to school, and then when I come back home from school, Anthony wasn't there no more.
How old was he, can I ask?
He was 12 when he passed. He was 12, yeah. He died of a brain hemorrhage in bed. He'd fell off his bike a few days before, and Yeah, so that's the only memory I have. I really have of him stuck in my head, and you know, it's a memory that's never left me. But life moved on. You know, in them days you weren't given counselling for grieving, and it wasn't really a thing, and you know, you just had to get on with it. You know, my that killed my mum really. You know, and I remember my mum being asked, you know, did you ever want to give up Mary? And she says yes, but I couldn't have 3 other kids to bring up, and that was you know. But my dad used it really as an excuse for his drinking, and Dad came as he was an alcoholic, and there was a lot of fighting around the house between Mum and Dad, because Dad was pinching stuff out of the house. He was robbing the. I don't know if anybody remembers the old Granada TV. You had to put 50p in the back of it. He'd rob that and the electric meter. You have to put the gas and electric. You used to put your coins in it, and you know he'd rob that through his drink, and so there was a lot of fighting. And a lot of fear in the household, you know. I just lost my brother, and then there was all this fighting, and I didn't do too well with it. I don't know how my brothers, because we haven't really spoke about it to my other 2 brothers, my twin and my oldest brother Colin, and but I dealt with it by when there was fighting, I'd built myself a den behind the wardrobe, my mum's wardrobe, and that's where I'd go and hide. And so it's a life built around fear, really. Growing up was all fear, and Mum didn't show much love because she didn't know how to show love from her parents in them days. You know, there was never a hug or a kiss, so it's very hard for me to show emotion and show love and show. Yeah, just how to give a hug, and sometimes I'm a bit back offish. But so life went on, you know, there was fighting in the house. I used to get shipped off to my nan's of a weekend because of the way I reacted to the fear of it, and it was just, you know, it was just a life built around fear, and I've carried fear all through my life. I've feared everything, and you know, that's just the way it was. But we just, you know, I'd get sent home from school, and you know, I got expelled from school. I was always seen as a naughty kid that weren't allowed in school at dinner time. You know, I'd be sent home to have my lunch while everyone was at school, and for what I know now, that, you know, I regret a lot of my schooling because, you know, I do a good job, but I could have been doing something better.
Well, that's quite a traumatic upbringing there. Can you tell us about then how when you had your first drink and how that progressed?
Yeah, so I can't really remember when I had my first drink. I didn't grow up. I didn't want to be an alcoholic because my dad was an alcoholic. I didn't like alcohol because my dad was an alcoholic. I can't blame my dad for me being an alcoholic. No. All I can, you know, people say it's inherited, but I'm not one of them that thinks it is. It's all I know is I'm an alcoholic and I've got to deal with it. And I can't blame the loss of my brother for my alcoholism. I didn't grow up liking alcohol, and I didn't like the taste of it, and I didn't like what it did to me. I started off smoking cannabis, and then the cannabis moved on to other drugs, and then alcohol came into play, and so the drugs were always a thing before the alcohol, but the drugs stopped, and then the alcohol became, you know, the king. he took the feeling away from me, you know, the feeling of uselessness. He just got up, you know, he just got the job done. Whereas if I brought a ship,
A ship.
as if whenever I brought a crap substance, you know, I could always go to the outdoor and get the job done, basically, to take me away from, just take me out of it, just take me numb the feeling of uselessness, and that was where the drink went, and then the drink, you know, it made me be able to be someone, you know, it made me be able to connect with people, it made me be able to be on the dance floor, it made me be able to come out of the house, basically, because as a kid going back I was just always on my own, you know, and that's the way it was, you know. I'd done everything on my own. I didn't really hang out with the others, you know, because I weren't even allowed to play knock door run because I was a chubby kid that couldn't run. And
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
What age were you, Dave, when you had your first drink?
I must have been about 21.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
my first drink, you know, I was taking substances before that.
Yeah.
And then I started going out onto the rave scenes, you know, it was the 90s, and you know, it was out all night raving, and you know, I've got to say that I had some good nights. And I'm not an everyday drinker. I never got up in the morning and wanted a drink because I went and done the day's work. I'm a binge drinker, so come the weekend I'd start drinking, and I couldn't stop. I can't stop. Once I take the first drink, I can't stop drinking, and then my binges would last up to 4, you know, from a Thursday to a Sunday, you know, put it down early on a Sunday so I can get up for work Monday. But then I'm recovering up until my next drink, and food weren't really involved in it, you know. And people's perception of an alcoholic is sat on a park bench, or, you know, getting up in the morning. I mean, people do get up in the morning and have a drink, but that's their story. My story was, I can't control this feeling I get when I take the first drink. If I take a first drink, it sets off a craving that I can't control, and my mind's telling me I'm okay to drink, to carry on drinking. And that's what I couldn't get. I thought that's what everyone did. But when everyone's going home to bed, I'm going home and drinking more until I collapse or blackout. And I've done a lot of stuff in blackout. I've got a lot of consequences that I've done in blackout. You know, and sometimes you can't always blame blackout. And
just I think for the listeners, blackout. You know, I always used to think blackout was when you just fell asleep at the end of the night watching the telly or something. But it's actually a conscious state, and when you wake up after that, you've got absolutely no recollection of what you've done during that blackout. So it is a conscious state. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah, well, I thought it's what everybody did when they were drunk, is they blacked out, you know, and I thought it was the fun thing. But, you know, when you've been round to your ex-partner's house, you know, on the drive, you know, on the garden, kicking doors, smashing windows, and then getting a phone call the next morning, why have you done that last night? It's scary. And, you know, I do some talks within prisons. I do a lot of volunteering work through AA. So we go into the prisons, and I actually shared my story of what sent me to prison in there and where I am now. And, you know, the guy I was sharing, you know, there's a room full of 15 inmates, and I've shared my story, and there's a bloke in there that's crying because he's just killed his partner in blackout, and my story was similar. I was running around with a knife in blackout, you know, and I had to sit back and think. I thought that could have been me.
Yeah.
That could have been me. And I was, you know, I was chasing my ex and a partner, which I hold a lot of guilt for, and it was done in front of my kids, and I went to prison for that. That's a consequence of my drinking, but I blamed everyone else. I blamed them for it. I blamed me splitting up with my ex, and I just blamed everyone else. I couldn't take responsibility of my drinking, and it was always somebody else's fault. I couldn't, you know.
Dave, can we just take a break there? We're ready for your first record. Can you tell us what that is?
It's Bring Him Home. So
yeah, this song, it reminds me. It's like I've had to I've been brought back now home to a child, because I've not been sober since the age of 15 up to 45, and now I'm having to learn to live again, and that's why it just resembles with me, Bring Him Home.
Here we go.
Very good.
God on high, hear my prayer. In my need, you have always been there. Easy let him rest, heaven blessed. Bring him home, bring him home, bring him home. He's like the son I might have known if God had granted me a son. The some must die one by one, how soon they fly on, and I am old and will be gone. Bring him peace, bring him joy. He is young, he is only a boy. You can take, you can give, let him be. Let him live. If I die, let me die. Let him live. Bring him home. Bring him home. Bring
Extra.
Thanks for that, Billy, and that was a lovely track, Dave. Really enjoyed that. Thank you. So you were telling us just before the break that that you went a bit mad carrying knives, and you'd actually been to prison as a result of that.
Yeah. Well, I went to prison, and I was also issued with a. I couldn't see my kids, the social workers had got involved, and that was also everyone else's fault, not my fault. And I was just in the madness, and I went to prison. Before I went to prison, I tried to get sober. I tried to. I went into AA before because I just had enough. I was just sick of being sick, to be honest, and. I started attending Alcohol Anonymous in the prison as well, and I was going there, but I think I was just using it more in prison just to get the extra out of the cell, and that's the honest opinion. And I came out, I got let out, and on that day I took half a lager because I thought I'd had a break, and I deserved it, and that half a lager took me 5 to 6 years more of binge drinking.
So, taking you back before, but did you realise before you end up in prison? Did you realise that you had a problem with alcohol and that you needed to do something about it?
Yeah, because my life was unmanageable.
Yeah,
it was just unmanageable. I was sitting on the end of my bed of a night time and I was begging to die. I was begging, just give me cancer or a heart attack tonight, just take me. Right. And there was attempted suicides within this, and my life was just unmanageable, but I could not see that it was my own, everything was my own doing, what I was doing, and it was all being done through drink. I'd be drinking a litre bottle of vodka and ice, and I'd be drinking it neat out the bottle. Or I'd be putting it into a 2-pint glass and three quarters of it vodka, and the rest of it would be Coke, mixer. And I just couldn't see that everything was being caused through alcohol, and so I went to prison, come back out. As I says, I took half a lager because I deserved it. And I'd had a break from alcohol because I was better now.
Yeah.
And that took me back on the binging. Straight back on the binging. And, I've always held the job down. And, going to work of a morning was a bit iffy, driving, but especially on the Monday. And then I wouldn't drink so much. I'd have a couple of pints in the week after I'd finished work, just to still take the shakes down, and then Thursday the binges would come back again, and there was no food involved. It was just drinking, because when I drank, it suppressed my hunger, and and I'd done all. I'd wet myself, and I'd mess myself, and I just could not see how mad my life was. As I says, I used to sit on the end of my bed and I used to beg, just take me tonight. And attempted suicides had come into this, and hospital trips, and my kids were seeing this, especially my oldest daughter. I hold some great regrets for what I did, but also, I've had to learn. I'm learning that because I'm only 16 months sober. I won't say only, but 16 months sober, and it's been hard. It's been hard. I'm not saying this getting sober is easy. It's hard. It's hard work because all your emotions come back.
Yeah, we always say that. The good thing about getting sober is you get your emotions back, and the bad thing about getting sober is you get your emotions back.
And your guilt comes back as well. And I hold a lot of guilt for what I've done in front of my kids, The fake promises that I'm going to pack in drinking, and then I'm back out there drinking the next day, or drinking in the house where no one can see me. And and it caused a lot of consequences between my kids. You know, as I says, I was issued with an order when I went into prison where I couldn't see my kids because I was a danger. Basically, they says I was a danger. I couldn't see that I was a danger. You know, where my kids are often sitting in front of. So I've got 3 kids. I've got 2 of one relationship, and then an oldest daughter of my first relationship, and I couldn't see the damage I was doing. Because what I was told is your sickness is actually a family illness as well. You know, you don't see the damage that you're doing to the family, how they grieve, you know, and how they get upset. And I didn't even see that. It's only when I'm out, you know, I'm out in the clear now, and I can look back and sometimes I just, you know, did I really do that? Did I really do this? And a consequence of my drinking again is I lost everyone, you know. I lost everyone, and I couldn't see my kids, and I couldn't see my kids over Christmas. But that Christmas I couldn't see my kids. It was thought, well, I'm alright to go out and drink more now. That's how mad it was, this disease. This is what the mind will tell you. You can go and drink more now. And that's what I did. And then, as I say, I went to prison, came back out, had the half. The half took me then, again, into binge drinking, because I thought I was alright, causing more consequence and, you know, taking relationships. And
So you said when you were in prison you did AA meetings there, just basically to get you out of the cell for an hour, I guess, yeah?
Yeah.
Did it... It obviously didn't work particularly well because you drank as soon as you came out, so...
If I can be honest, I didn't really want it to work.
No.
I didn't really want it to work,
so you weren't accepting or admitting that you were an alcoholic, you just...
I suppose the first time why I went into AA was to please other people.
Yeah.
To please my family, to please my ex-relationships, and
had you tried any of the other sort of groups that try to, you know, control your drinking, that sort of thing?
I was sent to a place in town. I forgot what the name is, because I was sent there through mental health place, you know, because they said you need to stop drinking, because I'd lie about my drinking. I was sent there, and I was asked the question by these girls, and they says, do you drink in the morning? And I says no, and they says, well, you're not an alcoholic then. And I went back and told everyone, they says I'm not an alcoholic. And I went back out and drank it.
Similar to Gemma, I mean, I've said to you before, and I took Gemma to Aquarius, my daughter. Similar, a young girl, kaftan, you know, been through college, I suppose. And she said, Gemma, how much do you drink a day? And she said, I have about half a bottle. And she went, oh, so we need to pull down from that. I said, love, she drinks 3 bottles a day. I said, she's going to lie to you, she's an alcoholic. And she said, Mr. Dakin, I'm dealing this with Gemma. And I went, no, you ain't, I'm taking her out of here. You got no clue at all how to deal with it. And there was no rapport there at all. It didn't work for Gemma.
No, and you know, and this is where this thing is about not taking the morning drink and being a binge drinker. You know, I can relate to being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And
I think the secret is, and you said it before, you know, when you take that first drink, you can't stop.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that is the definition of an alcoholic. That was what it was explained to me years ago when I came in. You know that, and that's key to everybody. Yeah. You know, we pick up that first drink, we can't stop.
Yeah, and that's totally...
You don't have to be a morning drinker. You don't have to live on a park bench.
No.
You know,
it's just that disease that I realise that I have now of the mind and the body, and it sets off a craving. It's a craving that I can't control, and I have to get another drink to quell it, and then another drink to quell that craving, and then if I'm running out, I have to make sure I've got stuff. I have to make sure that I had stuff there for if I ran out. Then I'm walking to the garage at 4 o'clock in the morning, or driving to the garage at 4 o'clock in the morning to get more alcohol because I've run out. And it was just madness. It's just madness, and we don't see it when we're in it.
No.
And we're delusional, aren't we, to what we're doing? And yeah, I'm in a much better place today, and I'm grateful for what.
So you said you picked up a drink, and then you had another. Did you say 5 or 6 years?
I had
The
another.
madness?
Yeah.
So what was your rock bottom, as we call it, that got you back into AA?
Again, I was sick of being sick. I got myself back into AA. I think it's December. I'm 16 months now, so in December 2022, the October, the December, and I got myself back into there, and I took the kids out for dinner, for Christmas dinner, like I usually do, and I'm there with my AA app saying I haven't drank for this long, and I've got a pint of lager on the side. And then, you know, they're all saying I've drove there drunk, and I'm trying to tell these that I'm not drunk and I haven't had a drink. Wow, look at me. You know, and that's just the dishonesty and me saying to myself, I'm not drunk, I'm okay. Yeah. When everyone else can see it, I've drove there with my kids there in the car drunk. And that's just the craziness of the alcoholic mind, you know, which I learned today. Every day's a learning day for me now, and it's a learning about myself. And I went back out after that night, and I hit it hard this time. Every time I'd come in and out and I went back out, my drinking never ever got any better. It never ever. It always got worse. My drinking always got worse and more. It seemed like for the time I had off, I had to make up in drink, and that's the way it was. My last drink was a month long, day and night drinking, and that's how bad it had got me. And I just could not stop this time. I wanted to stop, and I could not stop. It had got me now. You know, I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going in the garage, getting a litre bottle of vodka, drinking a quarter bottle of vodka on the way back up, and have 4 cans in the house. And attempted suicide calls again to my family, my kids coming round, taking beer off me, and my eldest daughter had enough of it now. She'd had enough because she was pregnant. I ruined all their Christmases, I ruined her Christmas. You know, it was coming up to Christmas again. She says, Dad, I can't do this anymore. I'm pregnant, I need to look after me and the child. And again, that's a consequence of my drinking that I realise now, and I have to accept it, and you know, I love it to bits for making that. And we've just started making, you know, it went for a whole year without us talking, and I've just started speaking to again, and I've just been allowed to see the grandchild after nearly.
Good.
He's just turned 1, although I did miss his birthday. I forgot his birthday, put it on the wrong date the other day, but I did apologise for that. But she accepted it, and I've made sure I put it in the right for next year. And but you know, there's a lot of trust issues there, isn't there? I've gone out and made the promises before that I'm not going to drink again, and I've done it, and I've made a sceptic out myself, basically, and that's okay. That's my doing. That's a consequence of me. But you know, I've been asked the question: can you never drink again, or can you promise me you'll never drink again? And I says I can't promise that. I can't promise I can never drink again. But what I can promise is I'll try. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. And that's all I can do. And to be honest, I never want to drink now. I never want to drink. There's nothing anything good that's ever come out of my life, drinking or taking a substance. You know, it just quelled the feeling of uselessness.
Short term.
Yeah, it was a short-term fix. And it was self-medicating for me, and that's what I drank for. And
I think we're ready for your next record, Dave.
Leona Lewis.
Okay, this one's very close to my heart. You know, this is my mum's funeral song, and when I'm walking down the beach, and because my mum and my brother are my higher powers, and that's what I hold. You know, I don't have a God, I have higher powers, and that's who look after me every day, and look over me and my mum. So when I walk down the beach, I see footprints, and I think she's next to me.
No, great. Here we go then.
You walked with me, footprints in the sand, and helped me understand where I'm going. You walked with me when I was all alone, with so much unknown along the way. Then I heard you say, I promise you I'm always there. When your heart is filled with sorrow and despair, I'll carry you. When you need a friend, you'll find my footprints in the sand. I see my life flash across the sky. So many times have I been so afraid. And just when I thought I lost my way, you gave me strength to carry on. That's when I heard you say, I promise you I'm always there. When your heart is filled with sorrow and despair, and I'll carry you. When you need a friend, you'll find my footprints in the sand. When I'm weary, well, I know you'll be near. I can feel you when you say, I promise you I'm always there. When your heart is filled with sadness and despair, I'll carry you. When you need a friend, you'll find my footprints in the sand. When your heart is full of sadness and despair, I'll carry you. When you need a friend, you'll find my footprints in the sand.
Thanks, Billy. That was a lovely track, Dave. Nice choice. That it's quite a poignant one, isn't it? That. Before we get going again, I'm just going to ask Deck to for anybody out there the contact details for
Sure, Dave.
AA.
Yeah. So there's various ways to contact us in AA. The easiest one is probably the national helpline, which is 0800 9177 650. That's 0800 9177 650. You can also contact us on email, which is help@aamail.org. What else have we got? We have Find a Meeting. If you do feel that you are struggling, you can go on the the website, which is alcoholics-anonymous.org.uk, and you can click a big orange button which says find a meeting. You can pop in your postcode and it will give you all the meetings in the area and the times as well. And finally, there is a live chat. So if you are struggling and you don't want to talk to somebody direct, you can have a live chat with somebody online who can hopefully guide you. So if anybody is struggling, please try and get in touch with us any of the ways mentioned. Thank you.
That's great, Dick. Thanks very much, mate. So you mentioned, one of my questions was, can you tell us how long it is since your last drink? But you told us that already.
No.
How has your life changed in that time?
No, that weren't my last drink. My last drink is I went back out. After that.
All right.
After that meal, and I went back out, and I was drinking every day. And I was drinking litres of bottles of vodka. And I was meant to be going away for Christmas to Tenerife for 3 weeks, and I had to miss a flight because I was withdrawing, I was hallucinating. I'd stopped drinking, I was hallucinating, I was being sick, nothing was coming up, and I was having to drink for that just to keep, to get me trying to stop the shakes, and I missed my flight, and and I thought I'd get myself sober, and I'll still go on the holiday, and I'll go out and dry out over there. And I booked a flight a few days later, got myself over there. I still was in a bad state. So I went over to Tenerife and I was over there for 3 weeks. I was still drinking and not eating. I weren't drinking as much. And on the 6th of January 2023, I thought, I've had enough, I'm not feeling well, I've got to go home. So I booked an earlier flight back home. I'd stopped drinking on the 6th of January, and on the flight back home, I ended up having an alcohol withdrawal seizure on the aeroplane. And I'd had this seizure, I didn't know I was having a seizure, I'd never suffered with them before, didn't know what it was. I come out of it, I'd wet myself on the plane, and I'd had all these people throwing trousers at me and stuff like that, and I was made to sit on a load of on a chair on my own, and I weren't in a good way. And I got into an ambulance off the plane on the runway, and I went into hospital, and I was sitting in the back of the ambulance. They opened the doors, and there's my brother Colin and my sister-in-law Cam standing there, and that's what I remember. And I've been asked the questions by the alcoholic, do you know what's caused it? And my sister-in-law says he's an alcoholic, and the paramedic says, why didn't you say? And that's the delusion again, that's the dishonesty of this, because I didn't think I was an alcoholic, And so from January 2003, 6th of Jan 2023, I had my last drink.
Right.
And it's been the best thing I've ever done. Getting sober, they say you have to die to take this thing serious, and I believe I had my last life there. I reckon I have another drink in me, but not on recovery. And I'm blessed to be here today. People have their luck with money and stuff like that. I believe I'll get my luck in other ways, and I have a higher power, and they were looking over me that day. My mum and my brother and my other family that were up there, my dad, are all looking over me, and they've given me this next chance to live, and I want to live it. And see, the times I used to beg, it's funny because I used to pray over night time. I've always prayed since a young kid, so I've always had the prayer life. I've always prayed since I lost my brother Anthony. I've always prayed to him ever since a kid. So the praying thing's not, or a higher power thing. What I didn't realise the higher power. Praying's never been a problem because I've done that as a young kid, And it's funny because I used to pray over night time to die. Now I go to bed and ask them to give me another day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's the way life is. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, you know, getting sober has been easy for me because I lost all my friends. They had to go. It's lonely getting sober, you know. I've had to change my way of living. It's a lonely place getting sober. And, you know, you go through this roller coaster as you're getting sober. You have dips of emotions and lows. And 6 months in, I took a dip, and I didn't want to be here again. And that was being sober. So I've had to go outside for help, you know, because as you says earlier, that, you know, all your emotions and your feelings come back, and they hit you when they hit, and the guilt and the shame of what I've done to people, the shame of what I've done to my kids, that, you know, and bang, it just hit me, and I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to live this life, you know. You know, what's the point of living? What's the point of living? But I had to get through that. I spoke to people within AA, and they said, "You're going to get this, Dave." He says, "But you'll grow from this one, and you'll learn how for the next one." I thought there was going to be a next one. I thought, wow.
Not if you just keep it one day at a time. Don't pick up that first drink.
And that's how I live my life now. I keep it simple, and it's one day at a time. You know, I don't look. I try not to. Yesterday's done, and you can't go back to yesterday. It's about today and tomorrow.
Tomorrow's not here yet, so you can't do anything about that.
No. All I can do is make plans for tomorrow, but whether they.
I think for me that was the key in the early days, because I was told when I first came in that if I was like everybody else in the room, an alcoholic, I could never ever drink again for the rest of my life, and I was absolutely mortified, because drinking was one of the only things I was good at. You know, crap at golf. Didn't play squash very well, not very good at football, you know, but by Christ, can I drink? But then, you know, and I just thought, I can't cope with that. But then it was, just do it one day at a time. So, you know, we can do anything for a day, can't we?
Yeah.
And that's how I live my life. I wake up every morning. I have quite a strict prayer regime, and it's not a religious organisation, but you know, it's spiritual. We need to have a belief in a higher power, something up there that's bigger and smarter than us, and it's not us. But my prayer regime every morning is to thank my God for another sober day yesterday, and for my continued sobriety, and ask for another sober day today, just for today. And it works. It works for me. So.
Yeah, so my prayer life's fairly similar, you know. I get up in the morning, and I know what they call these handover, and you know, my prayers to myself are very much, I pray for other people more than myself.
Yeah,
all I ask him for is a sober day. Yeah. Please grant me a sober day. Or ask them for, please look over me and keep me safe for today. Please can you help all those in recovery and outside of recovery. And please can you give all my family good health today. Yeah. And then when I go to a bed every night time, I just thank him for giving me a sober day and keeping my family safe, keeping all those in recovery and outside of recovery safe. And please will you grant me another day tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. And that's all it is. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
You know, people think it's religious. It's not religious. I just have to have an awareness of a higher power, and as long as I have that, and I'm honest and true to myself, I'm all right. I'm doing all right. And you know, today's good. I woke up this morning with no hangover, no wet bed, and I'm here. And you know, that's sometimes I get this surge of happiness come through my body and think you're sober today. Yeah. When the sun's out, you're up in the morning, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling.
Taking you back, you mentioned that initially when you first came in that it is hard work, isn't it? Because you mentioned the loneliness, but how has your life changed now since you've got into it? I mean,
it's changed dramatically. You know, I work better. I eat better. I don't stop eating, to be honest. No, I've just been to the doctors. He's told me I'm pre-diabetic because I'm eating too much sugar. So I've had to stop the chocolate bars and the sweets and the ice cream, and I'll cut them down, not stop them altogether. And yeah, but I'm living life, and sometimes I just think, what have you done with your life? You know, because you were saying about the alcohol. And I didn't like the taste of alcohol, and I didn't like what it did to me, but I still drank it excessively and beyond control. And but life now is beautiful. So I'm 16 months now, and
I'm sure you've got a lot of friends in the fellowship.
I've got a lot of friends. You know, my old friends don't contact me and I don't contact them because they're not a part of my thinking, and I'm not a part of their thinking, and that's all right. Yeah. You know, and I go out for walks.
That's the change. Yeah.
I go out for walks with you, Dave, and other fellows, and that's nice. That's something I'd never want to have done before, is walk. But yeah, I'm just enjoying life, and it was pointed out, I'm being made redundant at the end of next month. And usually I would be worrying about it if I was drinking, because I wouldn't have no money. But it was only pointed out to me, the promises, economic insecurities will leave us. Yeah. And it's just beautiful little things like that. Yeah. You know, because I've got money, I've got a bit of money in the bank now. And I'm not worried about it. I'll get another job.
I think whatever, you know, AA initially helps you to stop drinking, but long term it helps you to live life, whatever life throws at you, be it bereavement, be it, you know, redundancies, be it, you know, whatever. You can cope with that just one day at a time, can't we? Yeah,
well, what I have to do now is I can think. So what I have to do if something's set up, you know, if I'm getting angry about something, is I pause. And then I'm allowed. I can think about it. I can think, what do I do here now? And that's why I have to live my life. You know, because I used to drink on anything, whether it was sunny, whether it was cloudy, whether it was raining, whether it was happy, whether it was sad, whether it was somebody else's, you know, son's second birthday. I'd be drinking on that, and that's the way it was. But I don't have to do today. I can be today, and you know, I've got relationships I've got to build with my kids still, but that's okay. You know,
do that. Just coming across you there, because we were getting short of time. If there are people listening out there that can relate to your story, what advice would you give to people about the drinking, about AA?
Yeah, if you think no one in AA is going to tell you that you're an alcoholic, that's for you to find out. Just rock. All you need to do is turn up at an AA meeting and just sit and listen. You know, you'll get a lot of people. The word God. Don't be scared of the word God. It's not a religious.
1 minute.
It's not religious. Just use the phone, pick it up, get some literature. It's all on the website. You can read about it. It's the best thing I've ever done. I've got a life back now that I'm starting to live, and
that's brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
I just don't know where the months are going, to be honest.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I think we're ready for your last record, and just a huge thanks, Dave, for for coming along and for your openness and honesty and sharing your story with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, it's good to get it's good to get it over, and hopefully someone got something from it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done, mate.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you. And your last record?
It's Joe Walsh. One day at a time, which is very poignant, isn't it?
Yeah, one day at a time, and that's the way I have to live my life now. And the way he sings about it, it's the way I was.
Great. It is then Joe Walsh, and One Day at a Time.
Black Country. Online, on your mobile.